Hello and welcome to Three Sisters, One Heart podcast. I'm Tiffany.
I'm Shannon.
I'm Heather.
And this week we're going to talk about grieving and loss. Grieving and loss that we've been through personally, how we've maybe handled that with our children, some different kind of coping ideas, and I guess just how to talk to your children about these things and things not to say to people that are grieving from loss. So before we get into that, let's go over our trials this week.
I will go first voluntarily this time. It's not a bad trial. It's since the first I've been trying Veganuary.
Yeah, Veganuary.
And it's actually went pretty well. I've not had too many bumps thanks to you.
Prepare to win.
To what?
Oh,
to
there's
what?
like a saying. There's like a saying, and it's like, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. But then I didn't want to say that because it sounds like negative. You know what I'm saying? So then I tried to change it, but it didn't work as smoothly.
No, it didn't. It's went well so far. I get the boys back today, so now it's going to be where I'm making basically 2 different meals, and I think that's where the trouble is going to start coming in. So, but otherwise, it's been good.
Well, that almost is a triumph. That's hardly a trial at all.
I
Yeah,
don't,
right.
I don't have anything else.
Oh, hey, that's a blessing.
That's it, yeah. What about you?
All right, so this week on New Year's Eve, I lost my voice, which is hard because I'm a loud and voicey person. So it's actually coming back, but if you hear me sounding a little bit off, that's probably why. If I'm a little squeaky, that's probably why. We went to a place that was really loud. We went out, which was fun because we usually just stay home with the kids or do something simple.
Y'all were brave.
It was
We
really
were not
fun.
going
We
out
had
on
a-
New Year's.
We had a great time. We got all dressed. I got all dressed up. My husband was like, "I'll throw on my best T-shirt," which is fine. I like him. I'd rather him be comfy than be like feeling stuffy.
Yeah.
But I got to dress up, which was really fun. But it was incredibly loud, and there was a live band where we went, and I lost my voice, and I am recouping from that. So I guess that's my trial this week.
Mine is a little scarier. New Year's Eve. Well, backtrack. Last week we talked about how Ariana had the fever, and it was no big deal. Heather's boys had gone, and they'd had just a virus. Didn't
For,
really
like,
think anything
Christmas,
of
yeah.
it. No big deal. Kids are kids. They get sick from kids. No big deal. Whatever. So I thought we were in the clear, and then I went back to work on New Year's Eve, and I got a call from my husband that Ariana was dizzy and lethargic and not breathing well. So I flipped shit, obviously.
As one does.
Yeah.
Because that's terrifying, especially since I work so far away, that he was like, no, I'm taking her to the doctor right now. So our doctor's office was closed and whatever, so went to the ER thing, whatever.
Urgent care.
Yeah. And then she turns out she does have the flu. I was convinced she didn't have the flu because I thought her getting a fever so close to the boys, it must be the same
Gotta
thing.
be the same thing.
Which
it
I
was
felt
not.
so bad about, by the way. As soon as you're like, oh my god, she's this sick, I was like, oh my gosh, I should have just kept the boys home. This is my fault. And then you're like, it's flu. And I was like, it's not our fault.
No.
Thank God.
I mean,
But I
True,
felt
true.
so bad.
I mean, they're kids. They're going to pass stuff around. That's just how it goes. As frustrating and as tiring as that is. But it was completely different. So she got the flu. It was really bad, obviously. And I'm not really sure how I feel about Tamiflu anyway, but because it had been so long, it was too late for Tamiflu. So all we could do was treat for
Symptoms.
symptoms pretty much into pneumonia, because
yeah.
it was turning into that. So she's doing better now, but she scared the hell out of us and broke my little mommy heart. So it was not a very celebratory New Year's Eve for us. We were actually going to go down to some friends of ours live on the island, and they bike down to the beach and watch the fireworks there. And so we were all really excited. We're going to go do that, and that didn't work out. So I think that I was asleep by 10 o'clock. And
I've had those
then
New Year's.
I was up in the middle of the night cleaning vomit.
Oh.
It was not the greatest way to start the year.
I think I probably had a couple of those New Year's too, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. It was vomit that was not my own.
Right.
So it was. And
Hey,
she's
I don't
just-
even think I've had a vomit where I've had a New Year's where I've had to clean up my own vomit.
No. I'm pretty
She's-
good with enough vomiting, Except for that one time at Shannon's house. That's probably the worst time ever.
Gosh, she's just so. It's so pitiful. She's like, I'm so sorry I woke you up, mommy. I'm like, honey, it is okay.
Poor
But
baby.
Sweetie.
she's finally better, and actually today we're gonna take her spend her Target gift cards. So.
Oh man, we're gonna be there forever.
Yeah.
Kids are never as choosy with what they spend their money on as when it's their own money.
Mhm,
You know what I'm
mhm.
saying?
Yeah.
If it's our money, they're like, here, I want this. But they're like, they have $15. They're like,
How can I
only
best spend
have
this?
$15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they got a couple of gift cards for Christmas, and we've not been able to go yet. So we're gonna go do that, and hopefully, we're on the upswing of this.
Yes.
Craziness.
Oh, and it's all back to school and stuff for us. I'm not sure exactly when this will get posted. I did want
Today, I'm going to do it today.
we are trying, you guys. I did make an Instagram post that we had just fallen behind a little bit with the holidays, but we needed to take that time for family. Obviously, we had some sickness going around. We have a lot of blended family stuff going on, so our schedules have been kind of all over the place, and we appreciate you bearing with us and just knowing that
Yeah.
we love you guys, but obviously our family is important, and this is time for family. But we are looking forward to the new year ahead, and we have a lot of fun things planned,
And
assuming we get
also-
to them all.
Yeah.
And also getting since we've started posting to YouTube, it's really fun, and it's been fun to do, but it's a complete learning curve.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
We are
And it
so
can
not good
be
with this
kind
technical
of
stuff.
time consuming.
It's
and
super
I'll
time
say,
consuming.
like, a lot of it is on me. Okay, well,
It's all on you.
No, I
You
mean, like, the
can say it.
delay is on me. Is
Oh
what
no,
I
I'm
mean.
saying the techie stuff is all on you. So
Yeah. Which I don't mind by any means, but it's just been so crazy.
if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have a podcast
No.
because I wouldn't know what to do. I really wouldn't. I would have to like have someone be like, okay, I'll pay you $10 if you come over and figure out how to post this for me.
I'll pay
It
you
would have to be
in
more than
coffee
that.
or
Wait,
wine.
where's my
That is what you
$10?
get.
I'll pay you in
We got
hugs
2
and
coffees.
Oh, you did get my coffee today. You guys usually do since you guys come to my house now.
Yeah, it's true.
I should probably
Bonus.
put some money toward that.
Nah, it all evens out.
That's funny. But yeah, so we're getting there. But it's a learning curve. And I
Yeah.
feel like last week finally it like went off without a hitch, and I'm like, oh, finally, like I'm getting the hang of this.
Yeah, you're
So.
awesome.
But yeah, so topic.
All right, so kind of a rough topic this week.
Yes.
Grieving and loss. I know I, for one, have been through quite a bit of loss when it comes to family. I have the oldest children, so my children have also been through loss of family and loss of pets. Both, and they can be really trying and really hard, and the hardest thing I think is dealing with like knowing how to comfort someone when they're going through loss. We had a friend fortunately pass away this past year, very young. I don't want to go into too much detail, but very young, fairly newly married, and it was shocking. It was shocking, and just trying to find a way to comfort my friend who recently now is a widow at 34. She's a widow.
Right.
I mean,
And I feel like it's a whole different ball game. I mean, not that it's ever easy by
no.
any means.
No.
But say when it's your grandparent, like you
'cause
kind of
they've had a time.
prepare. You know that
Yes.
it's gonna come with. You know that it's something that you're gonna have to deal
It's
with.
part of
But
life.
for it to
But
be
dealing
your
with your
spouse.
husband or any spouse, any whatever.
Or your child.
Yeah.
And you're like, I cannot even imagine.
No.
No.
But like just knowing what to say to people in those moments, and it's kind of a tricky situation because it's like you want to give comfort, but like there are certain things you want to avoid saying, you know? And it's hard because like, for instance, when I was grieving the loss of so 3 years ago-ish, within a year of each other, I lost my grandfather, my biological father, and my uncle on my father's, my biological father's side. And I was not super close with my biological father, but in my adult life, we were working on building bridges towards it, and it was very unexpected. He was in his, not even quite in his mid-50s, he had been being treated and in and out of the hospital, and he was home like 2 days and he passed away. So it was very unexpected. And I had the hardest time as someone who was grieving. He also lived out of state, and like when we went to go handle all of the arrangements, I was the next of kin. Like at 30, 32-ish, like I am the next of kin to
and
someone.
who's prepared
I have to sign for all of the things. I have to sign all the things. Like it's hard to deal with, but then when you are put in that position where you're having to make decisions, but you don't feel like you even have your like wits about you,
right?
It's even harder. And then on top of that, I was, constantly there were people who I didn't know because he lived out of state who were like, oh, we're so sorry for your loss. Your dad, he was this, that, and the other. And at first it was kind of comforting, but afterwards I was like, I felt bitter almost about it. And I think it has to do with the stages of grief, maybe. Like in that time, I had moved quickly from the first stage, which I have them all here somewhere, of denial into anger. And like anger can be anger that you place on yourself. It can be anger and blame that you place on others. And while these people were trying to comfort me, I felt like, who are you? Who are you even? Don't comfort me. You don't know me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then I felt bad about that, and I felt guilty for that. So like you're overwhelmed with emotions in that stage. And the fact of the matter is, there's nothing that you can say. There's nothing. There's literally nothing you can say. And for my friend, for instance, it was hard when we went to visit her because we didn't know what to say. We literally just like sat with her for a little while, and we just talked about random stuff, and then we would talk about fun memories of him.
Yeah.
And
that's always my go-to, like to create like a more, I mean, there's no positive, but like to remember the positive, than to really focus on where you're at now. I feel like I'm pretty like, I don't know if naive is the right word, but I've not experienced it a whole lot. And if I have, it's been on my dad's side of the family. And my dad's side of the family, I'm close to my dad and everybody now, but growing up I really wasn't. So I'm kind of used to going long periods of time without seeing these people. So it's almost like my brain's never really dealt with it.
like
because
you're
I'm
a part
able,
of it, but you're like step back.
Yeah.
Because
I'm able to be like, oh, like you can kind of trick your brain into like not really dealing with it because it's like I'm used to going a couple of months without hearing from my grandfather, even though now I don't have that option.
Yes.
So, and it's like when that hits you, it's really, really hard. I feel like the delayed reaction is the hardest for me.
And I feel like too with you saying that, I get what you're saying. So in the beginning of, especially with my father, that's probably the biggest, hardest one. Even though we weren't close, it was like,
but then there's that
denial,
piece of anger too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, but at first it was like, you push it away. You're like, I have things to do. We have to take care of this, that, and the other. I can't deal with this. I can't deal with this right now. The denial stage. And it's easier sometimes to remove yourself or to like compartmentalize so that you, as that person, as that next of kin person or that person that has to like make some big choices, like it's easier to just try to block it for a little bit. It really is.
It's like a coping mechanism. It's like it's a self-soothing.
It is
preserving. That's
and that's
word.
exactly what I read. So in stage 1 is the denial stage, and it is a way for your brain to protect itself. It's a way for you to kind of ease into acceptance, which doesn't come till way later, by the way.
No.
And I feel like everyone always still is working on that forever. But yeah, that's part of the denial stage, and it is, you're like coasting. You're like...
Yeah, I would definitely say like my uncle and my grandfather in the past 5 years both have passed.
Yeah.
And it both were fairly unexpected. So it kind of... I don't know. I don't think that I've ever really dealt with it because it's like it's easier
to push it down.
Yeah,
it is. But
it's hard.
I feel like when you do
it's not
take
the best,
time to
and
deal
it's
with
not
it,
healthy.
Yeah, when you do take time to deal with it, you really do feel much better.
Yeah,
it's hard. It never feels done. You know what I mean? Finalized. How about you, Heather? Have you had any loss?
I'm with Shannon. I'm more naive with it. If I've only had grandma and grandpa, that is it.
I will say, I do feel like I've dealt with grandmas a little bit better. Like, it was very unexpected. I mean, but again, it's a grandparent, so it's not out of this world.
Right.
Like, we knew that one day we'd have to deal with it.
I knew it was one day, but I was like, oh, it's going to be another 30 years. She's
Right.
fermented. She's not going
we
anywhere.
would always make a joke, yeah.
Yeah. But I feel like that time that we had, like, preparing and, you know, getting to say goodbye, like,
Yeah.
Oh, God.
it was
That
gut
was a
wrenching,
blessing, but that
it
was
was
a
amazing.
blessing.
Yeah.
Oh, really was. Heather, I
For-
know you've had probably more friends.
They're not super, super close to me, but people I went to school with.
Yeah, you had a lot in your graduating class, I feel.
Yeah, there was, like,
More
a
than
couple
mine.
years, yeah.
Yeah, I've lost a few. One of the girls who graduated a year behind me passed from cancer. My freshman year, a close friend who, not super close, but I just hung out with them like the weekend before or something.
Oh, yeah.
Got into a really bad four-wheeler accident and he passed. But again, it's not people I was super close with, so I didn't really have that.
You have that little bit of separation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never had, I wouldn't say that many people close to me, and so I feel like I'm, like, very naive and very,
Okay, so
I think one of my harder ones was when Grandpa passed away, because I never actually I didn't see him right.
Dillinger,
Mm-mm.
Grandpa Kin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't even get to see him before I left for Japan.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I never even got to say goodbye, I love you, anything to him. And then I got the phone call that he had passed. And I was in Japan.
I
and
forgot that you were in Japan when that happened.
That was a hard time for you anyway, so I can
Yeah.
only imagine.
And then I remember my ex was just like, oh, I'm so sorry, and like half-ass hugged me and just like walked away from me. Like I didn't have that comfort to anybody,
Yeah.
didn't know what to do. So that hurt me a lot, but I think it's just because I just wasn't here.
Yeah.
And I couldn't come home. I couldn't.
Well, that's something to really keep in mind too when you're dealing with not just your own but other people's grief over loss. Is that everyone deals and kind of sorts things out in their own way. So like what he thought maybe like, oh, that's all you needed more.
Yeah.
And it can be hard to ask or say that you need those things, especially if you're in a position where you're feeling like you have to be the pillar of something, like the pillar of the family, like the person who doesn't cry. Like,
Yeah.
if you need that, take time for it, and don't feel like, oh, well, I'm being blubbery, or I'm being too emotional. I'm always emotional, just so you know. When we were there for Grandma, I was a hot freaking mess, but I needed that. I feel, I was glad we all had that.
I feel like
It
I
was
have
such
cried
closure for us.
When it happened, then I really started bawling when I got home, and
See,
Kayla was watching the boys for me. I walked in the door, and Kayla goes, what's going, like, she knew I was in the hospital because she came home at like 4 o'clock in the morning to take care of the kids for me. And I hadn't talked to her since since Grandma had passed, and I walked in the door, she goes, is she okay? And I lost it right then, and she was just like, instantly wrapped me up, said, is it okay? Like, everything that you need for that time.
yeah.
And she had lost her father, so she kind of knew what to help with the grieving process.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's part of it too, like, when something like this happens, we feel the need to like, oh God, we have to fix it. We have to like make it better. And the thing is, what we really need to do for ourselves and for others is just create space. Create that space. Like, and I don't mean like in a way like, oh, you need to separate. Like she didn't, okay, for instance, one of my least favorite things to hear when I've been grieving and going through stuff is they're in a better place.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that. I don't want to hear that. They're not here with me. There's nowhere better than to be here with me. You know what I'm saying? And like that she just comforted you and gave you that space to feel is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I think people need that, but we're so quick to kind of try to like fix it up, you know, or make it better, and you just can't. There's no way to make it better. I'm sorry, but there's not. Ease it, sure. Make it better, no.
Yeah. That's interesting that you say like the whole like they're in a better place. Like I guess that I would know. I don't
People say
I don't
this.
feel like I would say that.
Oh, they do.
But that is something that kind of comforts me.
Well, and that brings us to more of the spirituality section of things. everyone has different kind of spiritual beliefs, and for you in this case, you're Catholic,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And for you, that's a comfort.
Right.
For me, it is not a comfort. We haven't had a whole beliefs discussion yet, not really. I kind of am, agnostic, where I feel like there's something, but I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah.
What I believe in is science. I believe we're all energy. I believe when we die, that energy goes somewhere. But it's hard for me to be like, we go to a better place. Like, I don't know, like, I want you here. I don't want you to be a flower, or, you know what I'm saying? I want you to be in the atmosphere. I want you here with me now and help me through things. I need you. So that was really hard for me to hear from people.
Yeah.
They're in a better place. I'm like, no, they're not. They're gone. They are gone.
I can see both sides of the coin for sure. That's tough.
Now, what about grieving for children? Have you guys had anything with...
For when Grandma passed for the boys, I didn't know, I had no idea where to even start, and thankfully Mom stepped in and she was...
Oh, good.
I literally was so lost, and she explained that just Grandma's up in heaven, she's hanging out, and she's just happy, and try to make it as like...
If Grandma's in heaven, she's on a Carnival cruise line.
Yeah.
With one of those
with all
yard
the booze.
logs. Dancing her little butt off in a Hawaiian shirt.
That is how I
She's back with
imagine
Pops.
it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's there
She's
too.
got Pops. So, just, of course we can't tell the kids that. So but we just try to make it like a positive thing, and still to this day they'll have nights where they're like, "Mommy, I miss Grandma." I'm like, and they'll cry, and I'm like, how do you like? I didn't think that it'd have that much of an impact because they weren't super close to her, just because we weren't around too much.
Little.
But it affected them enough to where they still get upset about it. I don't know if it's just because, well, it's Grandma's house, or if it's I don't know.
Like, you guys are very much in those memories.
Yeah. That's
So,
true.
any memories that they do have with her are in their face every day.
Yeah.
I mean, they're living in my grandmother's old house.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like, as always, my kids are polar opposites.
Oh, yeah, mine are pretty opposite too.
Polar. Aubriana is very much, she's very strategic. Like, okay, well, they're not here. He's not sick anymore. Okay. That sucks.
Yeah.
And then Zoe is very much my emotional one.
Yes. Yeah.
Where she'll come out of the blue weeks, months, years later. There is, I want to say it's Ben's grandmother that Zoe knew and passed long before I even came along. So Zoe was very young, and she still gets upset by it. Like, she'll just, any little thing that can, like, trigger, and she gets upset by it. And we do have the more religious state of mind to it and all, but she'll very much sound like Tiffany. She's like, but I want them here.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like, well, that's the thing, and maybe that's a selfish way to think, but like, even if you're religious, you can still mourn and miss the loss of that person, even though you think that they're in a better place. So I get it.
It still sucks when you're here.
Yeah, my girls are like that too. Like, they both are very emotional, so they'll both be crying their little eyes out. They cry at Disney movies, so they cry the first 10 minutes. Into
I will not lie. I avoid watching certain movies with them.
No,
because I just can't.
we watched Titanic.
I can't
over
deal with
winter
that.
break.
Oh gosh.
Honestly, Annika was like, "Why did you make me watch that?" Nova's crying, but she's like my stoic, quiet. She's like crying. She's like, "It was good. It was good." Like, I know it's good. It's so good.
I'm not a big movie crier.
I literally like avoid at all costs watching anything with like even somebody's sick and gets better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm like,
No, it was like 2
I
days
love you
straight
too
with Annika.
so
She
much,
was so,
but I can't
like,
handle
distraught.
it.
So we have dealt with loss, and it depends, like you said, on like how close they felt to that person. Annika is slightly more emotional than Nova. Nova tries to like be strong and brush it off, where Annika will literally mourn like those wailing women. You know what I'm saying? Like, she has to get it all out, which is fine, because everyone needs their own thing. And like, we have to remember that kids are emotional creatures too, and
They're just
even more so,
smaller people.
they don't hardly know how to like how to put those emotions into certain outlets or certain places. So they're literally just bubbling over at times, and we need to give them space for that. Like, I don't like the idea of telling them to like suck it up. Like, do you ever hear that before? Like, suck it up.
Yeah.
Like,
I've seen a lot of
don't
parents.
say that.
I definitely don't take that.
They're having a
stance.
moment, okay?
Yeah.
Like, if they need to have a quiet time in their room to get through it, fine. But like, don't tell them to suck it up. Like, they have emotions.
Yeah.
So, both of them, they've dealt with some loss. They get upset. It's hard for me because I don't have a comfort for them about, like, okay, they go to heaven or they never go to hell, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but like, they're never. I never have that for them. I do try to lean heavier on the side of, like, if it's an elderly family member, like, they were hurting, they felt terrible, now they're free of that, you know. I try to go, and I try to also say how they're still around us, because I believe in energy. I'm like, they're still here with us, they're around us.
Talk to them anytime.
And I do, I'll be honest, I do. I talk to, and I think I maybe mentioned this on the podcast before, and it sounds hokey as hell. I'm like, I don't believe in religion necessarily, but like, when I'm having a really hard time, I call upon my ancestors.
We've talked about that
Yeah.
before.
So
I
like,
find it pretty intriguing.
yeah, I literally will like just sit in a quiet space, almost like meditation, and I will like go through the roster and go through everyone, and I try to like picture their faces, and I just talk to them, or like put out there, like, give me guidance for this, or help me find out how I should deal with that. And it's obviously, it's more of a comfort thing for me than anything, but it makes me feel strong in that, like, maybe how like you feel strong in the, what do they call it, the armor of I've been to church, there's like an armor, it's like a holy armor, like you armor yourself in the armor of things.
I don't know what you're trying to say. Like, I understand what you're saying, but I don't know, like,
and basically it's like embracing yourself in God, essentially. Right? Same kind of thing, but I do it with thinking about these like amazing, strong people that I love.
So it's almost like it's a meditation, but it's almost essentially like the,
which is prayer,
the comparison to prayer.
Isn't prayer just like a kind of a meditation in its own way?
Absolutely.
So yes, but that's, I feel like rooted in that, I guess. And so I tell them that kind of thing too. Like, they're with us. If you need them, just put it out there, you know.
Yeah.
And I think again, it's more of a meditation, comfort kind of thing. But I have a hard time with that. Like, how do you deal with that? Like, I want to be able to just be like, listen, they go to heaven, but like, I can't. I cannot.
I was reading
hard.
that to help kids in grief before like the grieving comes. That is why you get a pet goldfish.
Oh, we have had many a dead pet fish.
Because that is going to introduce them
Yes.
to grief, and then you can work them through it that way over just something simple versus a loved one passing away. It's a
I would have
fish.
never thought of that.
Yeah,
That's what literally little goldfish are typically used for, is to
I
help
didn't know
with
that, but it's true.
introducing the grieving process to children.
And we've had many a little animal that just not make it. We've also caught like a bunny in the yard when we lived on the property over at Jackie's. They caught a bunny that one of the cats had gotten, and they tried to save it, and it died. And like, that was a hard lesson because it was like a furry, cute creature.
Right.
And they all, of course, mourned, and have to have the whole animal. That's another thing.
That's super hard with me, is being in the vet field. I basically built up a wall.
Oh, I bet.
Oh yeah, you have to. It's like
Yes.
self-preservation. You have to.
And as fucked up as it sounds, you get morbid about it.
I
my
think
boss
doctors
would
have to get like that
yes,
too. Surely.
and we had to, because otherwise we'd go home and say we had 3 euthanasias in one day. Like, we go home and be so depressed, so we've got to make like a really dark jokes and stuff. And
oh God,
it's
I could not. I'm sorry.
It is horrible, but it is our own way of getting
Coping.
through the
It's
rest
a
of our
coping.
workday. Yes.
Yeah.
We just had to put down a gorgeous animal, and then now, speaking of animals, and now we've got to go to a 12-week checkup on the puppy.
Yeah.
So dang, she's loud.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to just basically build that wall and make it to where you don't have that.
Sorry, my nose is itchy.
we have our guest star again. She said,
That's
"What
funny.
y'all podcasted?" So we did have like the little pets and fish, especially. They go eventually. Our hardest pet so far has been our pet cat.
Kitty.
And we had to have the whole funeral and everything. Like, we didn't have to dress in all black and like wear a shroud or anything, but like we had to pick a spot and make it special. And that one was especially hard for Annika, who's the youngest.
We've not had to do that.
Thank God. It's gonna be rough. Do you remember that happening when we were kids? Oh
No.
my God.
I just remember walking in, Peanut's dead.
Oh, my
God,
God.
yeah.
So I think I've always had that block.
Yeah.
To not deal with it. Just very straightforward of situations that are not great. Like when Shannon passed out at school, I called Mom. I was like,
my God.
I will not lie, my hand was shaking so bad calling Mom, but my voice, calm, steady, told her what was going on. Even the dean looked at me and goes, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I'm gonna go to the hospital with her." He was like, "Your truck can stay here overnight."
Oh, good. I thought he was going to try to say, no, you couldn't.
No, they were
They were very understanding of it all. So that was
They
that
were
was
probably just afraid of lawsuits.
They probably were afraid of that.
He was like, "Okay, you're gonna ride along with her." I was like, "Yeah, I'm not just gonna let her go." What?
Yeah. It's interesting that I've never really thought like the whole different stages of grieving. Like,
Well, they say that there's 5 stages, but then it depends, like, because it's not just like broad as that. You know what I'm saying? Did you not heard of them before? The 5 stages of grief?
I don't know what they are. I think I've heard of
Can go
the
through
phrase
them a little bit.
before.
The first one is denial. So basically, that is the stage when it hits you like a ton of bricks, and you're like, "Oh no, this can't be happening.
Yeah,
This can't be happening." No, like, even though you know, yes, your brain is trying to say no, and part of it is to protect you from shock, right?
That was how I was when I got the 4 a.m. phone call from y'all about Grandma in the hospital. I was like, no, there's no way.
Well,
Yeah.
the second stage is anger, and that can mean your anger. Okay, so for instance, I lost a brother when he was 15. And when we lost my brother, he was hit by someone, and the whole family is like, "Oh, that person, they did this." And I didn't necessarily feel that way. A little bit, I get caught up in it, but like, that person was just a person. You know what I mean? It wasn't like they were malicious or out there to get him. It just was
an accident.
a shitty accident. Yes. And that's part of the anger, wanting to put blame on yourself. I should have done this, I should have done that, or putting blame on another person. The third stage is bargaining. Bargaining is like, if they would have, say, like, if, Grandma would have stayed alive, she could have been there at my wedding. It's like the what ifs, right? What if this would have not happened, if, okay,
if
my
Grandma
brother,
was
what
at
if
my
my
wedding?
brother wasn't out in the middle of the night when he was a teenager, when he's supposed to be at home? Maybe that wouldn't have happened. Of course, you feel all of that stuff. And you feel like, what if I could have prevented it? That's probably the biggest. What if I could have done X, Y, Z, and I could have, prevented this from happening? The fourth stage is depression, which is basically your and it doesn't necessarily have to manifest in an actual, like, physical depression. You can just be just mourning, really. It's mourning. It's mourning, and you'll really be mourning that whole time, but that's when it, like, really sinks in. Like, this is real. They're gone. This is it. This is
despair.
it.
There's nothing
It's
you can do.
despair. That's an excellent word for it. And then the last and probably hardest is acceptance. Okay, they're gone now. I'm gonna live for them. We didn't go rock climbing. I'm going to do it anyways. Accepting and turning that loss in a different way to, like, kind of fuel your own life, right? So, yeah, those are the 5. And then they can have lots of little, shoot-offs.
I'm sure you probably go back and forth a little bit.
That too.
Because I feel like, specifically with, like, my grandfather and my uncle, like, I feel like it's been very, like, push it out of sight, push it out of mind. Like, with Grandma, I wasn't really able to do that because it was very much in my face.
Yeah.
So, I feel like, even though I'm pretty sure Grandma's was more recent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm so terrible with dates and remembering
No,
things
then
like
your
that.
uncle?
Yeah.
I feel like your uncle was after Grandma.
Was it?
Yes, and if your grandpa was close, probably same.
Yeah. Well, either
Grandma
way.
just feels recent, I think.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like I've dealt with Grandma's much better. Like I've actually kind of processed it rather than pretending it's not there.
Right.
Because I'm just not ready to deal with it.
I do though agree, like, I think you kind of bounce around the stages because I can be perfectly fine and then I'll have those thoughts, like you were saying, Heather, like with my dad, like, oh, we were just starting a relationship in my adult life, like I missed out on that, then I'm bargaining, what if we could have done this, what if things would have got better,
What if things did really change? What if he was gonna
and you can't. What you can do is you can focus on your happy memories and do little things that keep them in your memory for that matter, and just try your best. I mean, everyone is struggling. You just have to try your best.
I do like that whenever you brought up the topic, I instantly was thinking of how, like, we do keep memories alive and stuff, and we always do oranges for Christmases. My mom always makes sure, because
And the
my grandma
stockings.
always put mandarin oranges. Every single Christmas, we had mandarin oranges. An assortment of other things, but you were, without fail, going to get mandarin oranges.
When we were kids, we actually got apple and an orange. When Nova and Annika came, the first grandbabies, they liked the little mandarins, and so Grandma would have us over for Christmas, but she makes lasagna and she makes steakums. Like that's what we would have for
I
holidays.
don't remember the steakums. I remember
Oh,
the
yeah,
lasagna,
show. Yeah.
and then just finger foods.
Oh yeah,
after a while.
she was the queen of pickles.
Yeah,
we would
all
have an
kind of stuff.
assortment of like all kind of pickled things, and so we would come over, and she'd be like, "Oh, what can they eat?" Like, we're vegan, so like they don't eat this, that, and the other. They're little kids, so like they liked the little mandarin oranges that come in like syrup, and so then she started putting the cans or the little snack packy type dealies like on lunches in the stockings, in nuts too, because we can't have the chocolates and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So Mom still does nuts and she does fruits.
Yeah.
So usually it's the little cups of mandarin oranges now.
It makes
But
me
yeah,
happy.
Grandma used to put whole fruits in there. I remember as teenagers we were like, thanks, Grandma, for this
But there was always
apple.
$20 with those fruits.
I
Yeah.
know. Grandma wasn't the best with figuring that sort of thing out, I feel like. She's like, I don't know what you guys want. Here's $20. Enjoy.
That's
Hey,
awesome.
that was okay with me though.
Yeah,
I like
okay
that
with
kind
all
of
of
thing,
us.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It
yeah,
makes me
fruits
happy.
and nuts. Me too. Aw. Makes me really happy. I guess we do kind of a similar thing with when we have our holidays and we have some like traditional foods that are our go-tos, like the pink stuff. That was a Nana thing.
Yeah.
And Mom does
I
that
know
now.
that you
It
dealt
like
with Nana
breaks
a
my
lot more.
heart. Like
Yeah.
I know I was so little, but there's nothing I can
Shannon
remember about
doesn't
Nana
either.
at
No.
all.
I was in the 3rd grade and Nana was my best friend. I'm gonna get emotional just talking about it.
Oh,
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm trying not to.
sorry, I should have.
It's okay. Our mom was a single parent, and so
Nana was around for everything.
when I was born, we lived with our grandparents, and my mom had to work, so like I was with Nana all the time, and we were like buddies. And when she passed, it was really hard. As a in 3rd grade, what are you, like 9? I knew like she was sick, but like I didn't comprehend like what cancer is, what that means.
Yeah, you can't really process when you're that young.
Yeah, I knew she was like, she was okay for a while, and then she just wasn't anymore. And then when she wasn't, it was so bad. And just being around that and seeing that can be difficult for kids too, you guys. Keep that in mind, that especially if your kids, I know that want to have your children be there in those moments, but just again, give space and pay attention. Pay attention to how your child is acting. Pay attention to what it is they seem like they're in need of. Because as children, they can often be overlooked, especially in times like that where there's crises going on. I'm not saying that's what happened to me. I was there for as much as I could be there for, and I'm grateful for that now, even though it was hard, because I just cherish that.
It's a
with her.
processing thing.
But yeah, it is a processing thing. I mean, what our mom was, I'm gonna mess this up, probably like 24 to 26 when she lost her mother. Like, oh,
I can't even
oof.
imagine.
So, it's a lot, and I don't know that if you ever get over that.
Like
I
loss of a
remember,
parent,
I remember, this is gonna be even more sad. Okay, so mommy had a handful of things that were Nana's, and for the longest time she had this sweater in a gallon Ziploc bag, and it smelled like her.
Aw.
And I remember every once in a while like digging out the closet and just opening it up a little bit. And I talked to her about it before, and she was like, I just had to like let it go because it didn't smell like her anymore. It wasn't a comfort. It just made me sad. And you know, if that's something you need, do it. I say do it. Like, you hear sometimes people telling people to move on. Like, okay, it's been XYZ amount of time. You need to move on.
Yeah.
You can't put
That's
a
so
time
wrong.
limit on grief.
That's so wrong because
Everyone grieves different timing, different lengths, different
Yeah.
ways. Like I said, me, it's I put a block up a lot of times, and I have a bad habit of joking about a serious situation that's kind of about everything.
Abriana is that way. She
I try and make a light of a dark situation,
Right.
but in a medical career, you kind of have to.
Yeah, Abriana
I can imagine.
was, without going into too much detail, there was somebody that had a miscarriage, and
Sorry.
she,
Oof, that's
yeah,
one too.
it was, yeah, I can imagine. It's very hard, but she was like all upset because she has that nervous laughter
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of thing,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
but then she was like guilt ridden for reacting that way. Like she wasn't like hysterically laughing or anything like that. Like I don't remember the specifics of it, but basically like something that was said in it, she like giggled at, and then she felt awful. So she's definitely my one that doesn't. She's like me. She doesn't know what to say, so she almost like kind of like deflects.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Zoe
I
is
get
very
that.
much like head on, knows kind of, she's dealt with it a lot more than Abriana has. She wants back.
She's behind me now.
But she, yeah, Abriana just doesn't have the experience. But
And that'll
Zoe,
come with time. I love the idea of like getting a smaller pet because it's like
I know
they
it's
like
a terrible way to
goldfish,
think
but they
because
don't love
you're literally
goldfish.
like, no. See, my kids would love the goldfish.
Well, we had one die swimming.
swimming.
what an original name.
Always they would name their things always things like that. Except for we did have a hamster and it was they couldn't decide on a name and it was like
Princess Peach
Taylor
something.
Swift.
Right.
Yeah,
it was
Princess Peach Taylor Swift something or another, and I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not gonna come when you call it, so you name it whatever you want to name it.
That's funny.
It escaped, and we don't know what happened to it. It escaped several times. Listen, they say hamsters escape. It's true. Even if you get them a cage that they're not supposed to escape, they find a way. They find a way. One time we were sitting watching TV in the den, and all of a sudden we see it
Oh my god.
across
I
the
would
floor.
flip.
I was like, what? How did you get out? They escaped. And then one time it escaped and it was gone. So
See, I would probably like think it was like a mouse or something, and then accidentally kill it, and then feel like I
Oh,
killed my
God.
my kid's pet, and it would just be bad.
I can't. No. Mm-mm. I don't do the rodent pets.
I'm not a huge fan of rodent pets
We-
either.
we
Although guinea
talked
pigs are
about-
super cute.
They're cute, but their bites hurt.
Do they?
Yes.
We gotta get a friendly one.
No.
We,
and they
um,
stink.
Guinea pigs?
Yes.
Aw, hamsters are alright. if
No,
you change
they
their
stink
case.
too.
We
They're
talked
all
about
setting.
getting one for Zoe, but I'm afraid it would, because I mean, all the pets are all of our pets,
right.
but
They're all your pets. Let's
pretty
be real. Who
much,
feeds them?
I make my kids.
Oh, good.
It's part of their chores. But
My boys feed the dogs in the morning.
Mine are rough about it.
Are
I'm always
they?
like, that cat has no water. How about I make sure you have no water all day?
Hmm.
You want no water all day?
yeah, we have to get
But
on to
then, you
Abriana
know.
about like not
course
feeding the
they do.
dogs at night sometimes, but
Yeah.
I forgot my point. Oh, we talked about getting Zoe like a hamster or something along those lines because we got Abriana essentially the cat.
You're
'Cause
right.
I mean, it's a family cat, but it was
It was
very much bought
Adriana
for
who was
Abriana.
begging for that cat.
Begging, fell in love with the thing, and then he bought her. But she's sweet though.
Here, come
She
home
is
one
sweet.
day with a third dog.
But
Oh,
oh god
God.
no, oh god no. But then
What about a reptile?
I'm
Does she like reptiles?
My boys have a snake at their dad's.
That's awesome.
I'm
They
sorry.
can stay at your
Jack
dad's.
has a snake. snake. It's only Jax.
That's so
apparently.
Oh, it like makes me like cringe just like
doesn't
thinking
bother
of
me.
it. Blech. I can't
Well, we
believe we
talked
had
about
so
a
many.
pet episode. Like, what
Yeah,
was the
all
best
the,
pet?
yeah.
we always had all kind of crazy pets, but I don't really remember. Like
Kids
I
love
remember
animals.
pets dying, but I don't until
all the
Ellie
time.
and Dexter. Like they
Oh.
none of them
Oh,
really
that broke my heart, too.
I didn't really comprehend or whatever. Like I didn't really.
And I was in Japan for that.
I was
For
there with
Dexter
Ellie
passing.
when she died. It was not
Ugh.
good.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
It was horrible.
See, I just don't deal with
Ugh.
things like that, so I just keep myself out of it as much as possible.
Yeah, I
So-
understand.
But
And that's okay. That's okay. Just because I might be over here a blubbery mess and you're over here all stoic and handling your shit.
That just
But
shows
people-
like everybody grieves differently.
Yeah, well, and
handle
people
it and
can
process it.
assume X, Y, Z. They could assume that I care more and you care less, but the truth of the matter is that we all deal with it in different ways,
yeah,
and we all need the space to make that happen. Let it happen, and that's my biggest advice. Like, yeah, fine, you need to
It can take,
compartmentalize
what is it,
for a while,
months, years?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
just because it's been
but let
4
it,
years.
but let it out and let yourself
Yes.
feel it at some point. I understand
accept, like, just,
compartmentalizing
it's
for
okay
a while.
to still grieve.
Yeah. And that can be different for everyone, you know? Like, well, maybe you need to break some dishes because you're pissed.
Yeah.
Do it. I love to
Which,
break
by
some
the way,
dishes.
Jacksonville has a smash room now.
What?
Yeah.
There's a
His
smash.
room?
No,
Or his
Jacksonville has a smash room.
Oh, I heard about that on,
So you-
and that's why we drink.
Did
Shout
you
out to
really?
them, That's why we drink.
Yeah, that's
love
a
you,
good one.
gals.
I'm a little behind on the episode, so don't
Yes,
tell me nothing.
it was for their friend anniversary.
But there's basically they put you in this room. You have like a bat or something, and there's
You just
crap
go
all around
crazy.
you. You get to beat the shit out of and just get your anger out.
Yeah, and that's why we drink. Christine surprised M for their friend anniversary, and took her secretly to a smash room. And
That's
she's like, it
awesome.
was so amazing. We just went in and they had all these things for us to choose from to break stuff with, and the whole room is just filled with things to break.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how expensive
I
that
kind
is.
of
It
really
must
want to
be-
do it. I'm not
I
gonna
think
lie.
it's great because half that stuff is probably crap that's going to end up in a landfill anyways. Like, might as well break it down,
Right?
help out Mother
Get
Nature
stuff
a little
at
bit.
like 99-cent thrift stores,
And then someone comes in, cleans it all up.
and I mean, even
don't
better
have to
that I
clean
don't
it
even
up.
have to clean it.
I know.
That's pretty
brilliant.
nice.
I know. We should do that sometime.
That'd be fun.
We'll have to video that
Oh
for
my
the podcast.
God.
Yeah, that would be like a first vlog.
Yeah, you get to wear you have to wear eye protection.
Oh
for sure.
yeah.
But you have all different things like bats and hammers and
I'd need a
it sounds
bat.
awesome.
I need something with some reach to it.
Oh God. Okay, we're getting
Alright.
long-winded now. So,
Trips?
Triumphs.
who's first?
I will.
You go first.
I get my babies back today.
Yay!
I'm so excited. They've been gone for a week, and I know there's other parents that, yes, this summer I'm not going to have them all summer, and I'm not looking forward to that, but I don't like going long periods without them,
Yeah.
and I am so excited to get them back today, even though they drive me insane.
It'll be like
But
3
it's
minutes
all the
down
good
the road,
insane.
and you'll be like, "Oh my gosh."
Why? I was like, no, I'm super excited, and just to get back on schedule, get them back in school tomorrow.
I know. I'm ready to get back to the real world. Like it's
A little
been
bit.
crazy.
That's my triumph too, is that as much as I've loved having some time off and having the kids home for time off, I thought I would get more done. You know what I'm saying? But it's just been
I
filled
got
with other
nothing
things.
done. Nothing.
It's been too busy.
Bobby's been
It's-
on leave, and he texted me when I was here. He was like, "I'm so sorry, I haven't done more with my time off." I'm like, "Yeah, we were supposed to do X, Y, Z, and we've done
Yeah.
X
But
halfway."
I'm also triumph is that tomorrow is back to school, back to work. Like, yeah, vacation is nice, but like, there's something to be said for some scheduled normalcy.
Yes.
And I'm ready. I'm ready for it to kind of get back into the groove of things.
I'm
Like,
ready
I need
for
that little
noise
reprieve,
again.
but then
Because my house is entirely too quiet.
Ugh.
Mine is, as much as I say, I'm like ready to get back to normal. I was not that way last week, and I was all like begrudgingly going to sign on because my classes started, like my new classes, and I go to sign on, and I'm all in a mood because I'm just not in the mood to do
Not
it.
feeling it.
And I'm like, fine, let me get on, let me get this, and I got the date wrong because I got an extra week off.
Oh, dang.
So it actually starts today, but I had the whole past week off of school that I thought that I had to do.
That's
So I was
awesome.
super excited, and it was exactly what I needed because I've had so many days where I've literally done nothing, and it's been amazing.
Ugh.
I needed
I do
it.
enjoy those days. But yeah, I
Yeah.
am ready to get back into things.
What's yours?
Back into my workouts. That was it. Same. Like, back into the groove, back into life, back into my scheduled life things.
Yeah. It's nice.
Having the break was fantastic. I didn't get nearly as much done as I wanted to. I have a heap of IKEA furniture to put together. That's all in boxes in my living room still.
Really?
Yeah.
I always get excited and like do that stuff immediately.
We got it, and then we
Yeah.
got home late, and then
Oh, true, yeah.
we needed a drill. So we went to get one. I was going to borrow one from Poppy, but I always like, Chris is like, we should just get one for ourselves. And I'm like, fine.
Let's be real grown-ups and buy our own drill.
Fine.
That is why I have a leaf blower now. Just saying, my husband's like, we should just buy our own. We need a weed whack. We need a lawnmower.
Next thing you
I'm
know,
like,
I won't be able to find something for it, and I'll be like, I have to borrow one from Poppy.
Right. That's funny.
But we got it, and then we just haven't had a chance to put it together. We had to get a drill, and we had to go to the grocery store. And when we get home the next day, it's like, 6, 7 o'clock time to make dinner. And I'm like, my husband and I are a wonderful yin-yang match. But when I say yin-yang, it's like we're like oil and vinegar.
Yeah.
And we do not work
remember
on
you talking
projects
about.
well together. Actually, I was talking to my
so
friend
you've got to
Janet.
do it when he goes to work, basically.
I'll probably do some of it by myself as much as I can because I'm a control freak.
Well, yeah, a little bit.
I just want it to be right.
Just do it my way. I feel that way with group projects.
Follow
I'm
the
like,
directions. I don't understand. It says to put this here. Come on.
That's funny.
But yes, on that note, we look forward to seeing you guys next week. And we also have a friendiversary coming up this month. So that's going to, or not a friendiversary.
I was like,
a podcast
I think
anniversary.
that's been a while.
Yeah. I was still riding on the coattails of it, and that's why we drink Sprindiversary. But no, we're gonna have a podcast anniversary at the end of the month, so that'll be exciting. I don't know what we're gonna have, but there'll be cake, faux show. Ooh, I might make that cake.
I was like, please make it, because I am out of my
I
element.
might buy it. I might make it. There's gonna be cake.
Okay.
I like
There'll
cake.
probably be wine or champagne too.
Wine.
Yay.
Champagne.
I love
Wine.
champagne.
Champagne.
I don't like champagne.
Maybe you just have to get some good stuff. Maybe we can pitch in and get some Vouv. Have you ever had that? I've never had it. It's fancy. It's real
No.
fancy.
Okay.
Oh,
So it's just jabbering.
hey, I'm good at jabbering.
Yes.
All right, so don't forget to subscribe, like, comment,
Share.
champagne or wine.
Yeah.
Share. Let us know. Let us know what you want to talk about. We want to do like an FAQ for our
But we need y'all to send things in.
for our podcast anniversary. We would love to do an FAQ, but we need some things. What do you guys want to know? It can be anything. It can be absolutely any question, any inquiry. Let us know. We are pretty much open books.
Yeah.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.